Hey, this is Alec, also known as Edison Phone 1, and today I have a review for you of the Elgato video capture card. Now, if you're like my family, you have a whole bunch of home movies on VHS or perhaps another analog tape format that you would like to get on your computer to either make DVDs or Blu-ray discs, backup, archive, whatever. And one of the easier ways to do that is with a video capture card. And I ordered this particular video capture card because it has great reviews on Amazon. And in this review I'd love to show you the interface of the card, what it actually looks like, and how you use it, and just to make a recording. But I've returned it. And the reasons why I've returned it, well, there are a lot of reasons, and some of them are pretty big. But anyway, we're going to take a look at some of the output files, and I'll show you some of the problems that I ran into with this card. And I'm going to compare the output files from this card to the output files from a different method that I'm currently using. But instead of just sitting here talking at you, how about let's move on to what the card actually did and why I returned it. So to start out, I want to show you the first problem that I ran into, which was quite a big one. Now, what I had planned on doing was using Sony Movie Studio and also Sony DVD Architect to both edit the files and create some DVDs so that way we can watch these on an actual TV. Now, when I tried to edit a file, I found it didn't work. I saved all of the files that I was making on an external hard drive, and here they are. So let's try and drop this one in. Get an error that says none of the files dropped on Sony Movie Studio could be opened. Let's try a different one. Nope. This one won't even drag in. Oh, there we go. So you can see that is a big problem. Now I contacted Elgato and Sony told me if this happens it means there's a codec within the video file that they don't have the rights to use. Well, that's great. So then I contacted Elgato and they said we're not having that problem at all. It turned out that the file that I was given on the disk to create the .exe file, for the program, that was out of date, but the program didn't bother to tell me that. So Elgato told me just download this new file. That's great. I downloaded a new file and it worked. Now, when I got these new editable ones, there was a problem with them. If you're on a PC, the only thing that you can do is output it in H.264. Now this is great because it doesn't use that much hard disk space for a particular file, but H.264 exhibits a lot of MPEG-like artifacts on the screen. If you're someone who gets really bugged by a bad digital video file, you're going to be driven crazy by these H.264 files. Now I'll throw some up so that way you can see what I'm talking about. Now the other thing that happened was super awful. The audio would start to get out of sync with the video. Now, at first it wasn't doing this. I was able to record about 10 different tapes where it didn't do this. But then it started doing it, and I don't know why. If you looked on the video preview screen that you saw as you were recording the videos, the video and audio were in perfect sync. It was only after it created the file that you would receive problems. Now I'm going to show you a file that shows exactly what sort of problems there were. So first of all, here is Wheel of Fortune. This is a game show of Wheel of Fortune that my aunt and uncle were actually on. Now if we look in Sony Movie Studio, you'll see that the audio is way longer than the video. This here is the audio for the file, and you can see that it's just going way past the end of the actual video, which is here. The video isn't even an hour long, but the audio is an hour and a half, more than an hour and a half. Now at first I thought this was just some sort of a glitch, but then I ran into other problems. So here's what happened with the Wheel of Fortune file. At the beginning, it's great.
5 News at 10.
NBC News at this hour, I'm John Palmer. British officials investigating the bombing of Pan Am Flight 103 said today the bomb was concealed in a radio cassette player, which may have been in the baggage that came from Frankfurt.
But if you go towards the end, the audio and video are very out of sync.
I want to do that all week. Time's running out. We're going to play this round for a gift certificate. So I'll give the wheel a final spin. I'll ask you to give me a letter. If it's in the puzzle, you have 5 seconds to solve it. Vowels are worth nothing, and consonants are worth $300. And Tom and Kathy, your turn.
Category.
I'm sorry, category is things. Tom and Kathy?
An S.
Yes, 1 S. You have 5 seconds.
Now at first I was frustrated and thought perhaps I can just shorten the length of the audio, and in fact there is a way to do this. In Sony Movie Studio there's a tool which allows you to shorten the length of the audio and also change its pitch. So I thought great, I'll just shorten it to match because the audio was about 15 seconds too long. Now, when I did that, that was great. I had the end matched up and the beginning was matched up, but the middle was still out of sync by a lot, about 5 seconds or so off. Now, this is just really bad. If you've ever had to watch a video where the video and audio are out of sync, it will drive you crazy very quickly. So that wasn't going to work at all. Now here's another problem that I had. The output files from the Elgato video capture card are de-interlaced. Now if you're unfamiliar with what this means, basically NTSC video, which is what VHS tapes record, is 60 frames per second effectively. It's actually 30 frames per second, but every other line of resolution is recorded at one time. So you get 30 full frames per second, but 60 fields per second, and this is called interlaced video. Now, normally I wouldn't be having any problems with de-interlacing, but I set up a TV hooked up to the VCR so that way I could actually watch the video a little better, because the preview window in the recording software is not that big. And some of these tapes I hadn't seen in a long time, so I wanted to actually watch them while I recorded. And I noticed that the video in the TV was remarkably smoother than the video on the preview. And it was smoother than the video that came out after the rendered file. And I realized that it was de-interlacing the video, but it was also not doing too good of a job. Now, I've tried to render this video in 60 frames per second so that you can perhaps see what I'm talking about, because my new method of rendering these tapes is actually preserving the interlaced file format. Now, this may not be too important to you, but if you do want to create DVDs and watch it on a TV, or even if you just want to watch it on your laptop, the video is not going to be as smooth as it could be if you were to use the Elgato video capture card.
Please stand clear of the door. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las puertas. To our new passengers, we welcome you aboard our Highway in the Sky.
Okay, so if you haven't guessed, this video is riding the monorail at Walt Disney World. And in this video, I have not rendered it in HD, so that way I could upload it in the original NTSC format, which is interlaced. Now, I'm not sure if you'll be able to tell the difference on YouTube, because YouTube itself might de-interlace the video. However, if you can, I will be sure to put up an annotation, as well as if for some reason you can't. Now, if it turns out that you can't, you can send me a personal message and I might be able to actually send you a small clip from this video so that way you can see it for yourself. Otherwise, I will just see what happens. But for now, I will just let you know that the difference is quite remarkable in person. On the right side of the screen, which is the original NTSC format, it seems much, much smoother than the output from the Elgato capture card. Plus, of course, this output does not have any of the MPEG artifacts and is just a much nicer thing to look at.
If you are exiting, please gather your belongings, watch your head and step, and take small children by the hand. For those of you remaining on board, our next stop is the Transportation and Ticket Center, with continuing service to Disney's Polynesian and Grand Floridian resorts. We are entering Disney's Contemporary Resort, where you can start your day with Chef Mickey's character breakfast on the Grand Canyon Concourse.
Well, it seems we've just about wrapped up this review of the Elgato video capture card. I want to say that the Elgato people that were helping me in customer service, they were very helpful. They were not delayed at all in giving me responses. If I sent them an email, I would usually get a response within 12 hours. And in general, they tried to help me out as much as they possibly could. Now, I ended up giving up. They did want me to do a certain thing with separating the files before it was rendered. But I just didn't want to do that. I said, you know what, screw this, I'm just returning it, because I knew I had another method of doing this. Now, I want to make a different video later showing you the method that I'm currently using, but I will warn you, it's a lot more complicated than using a video capture card. Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that this answered any questions you might have about the video capture card. I do want to say that there are probably plenty of people that had a great experience with this card, judging by all the reviews. But I have a feeling they might have been Mac users, because the problems I had with this were just too many to be worth it. Now, perhaps it was just my capture card, and they did try to send me a new one, but I just decided to go with my other method because also it was interlaced and did not have all the MPEG artifacts. But if you're okay with those things, if you're okay with having the blockiness in some of the videos and you're okay with it not being interlaced, then you might want to just try the Elgato. It might work for you, especially if you have a Mac. But if you're like me and you'd like the video to be as close to the original as possible, I would say this might not be the best solution for you. Does it mean that it won't work? Not really, but my experience was very bad with this product, and I can't say I can recommend it to anyone else. If you do decide to get the Elgato video capture card for yourself, please let us know how it works out. I would like to know myself, to know if I was just some weird isolated incident. And I will say though that my laptop is pretty darn powerful, so I doubt it was a problem with my computer. And like I said, I did have a number of files record without a problem. It just started happening later. Anyway, my name is Alec. I'm also known as Edisonphone1, and thank you very much for watching this video. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I also hope that it can help you out in choosing a video capture card or whatever method it is that you will eventually use to get your home videos on your computer and backed up where they should be.